Hello and welcome to our family tree version of The Millers. So we have just finished filming 1405, and so I wanted to show you guys multiple family trees that have been created for the Miller family. First of all, this is the one that is linked in the description box. This was created by one of the viewers, and she goes by Lindsay over on Discord, but she has put the pictures right here in a rotating thing, which I absolutely love because this thing does not let you put pictures for everybody on the tree, which we will see in just a second. I also love that she has the spoiler alert bar at the top to tell you that the tree is updated to 1405. So if you haven't watched that far and you don't want to be spoiled, she lets you know right off the bat what's going on. Now you can search this tree and look at it in a lot of different ways. There's just a lot of cool things to do. She also has made a description about what it is and what we're doing, and she has all the locations where Miller family people live. She also at the bottom has a link to my spreadsheet and Morbid's rules for the decade challenge that we're doing. And then this thing just tells you how you can use this tree. So, like I said, this tree is linked. You do not have to have any kind of account or anything. You may have to have a free Tribal Pages account. That's what this is from, tribalpages.com. But you don't have to pay anything at all to be able to view this tree and do different things with it. So, up here at the top where it says view, we're just going to go look at the tree. And we happen to be on Lindsay Cooley for some reason. So we're going to keep going. I'm trying to get all the way back to our original. Here we go. I'm almost there. Mary Miller, Edmund Miller. There we go. So let's view the tree from Edmund's point of view. Now we can only zoom out a certain length out, right? So I tried to go in and add pictures, and what I did was I tried to add pictures of every child that Edmund and Grace had who lived long enough to get a picture. Like right here, Faith and Edward both died in childbirth, so they don't have pictures. But otherwise, every one of Edmund and Grace's children have their picture in here. And then what I decided to do for the second generation, as you can see, there are no pictures in here except for John, because Hugh became our next heir and then John did. So if we look at Hugh's family tree, we can see that he only had two children who continued to have children. He had John and Michael who had children, but between the two of them, they had 20 children, John and Michael. But you can see John's picture here, and then all the way down at the bottom of his list of children, the only one who even lived to adulthood. That's not true. We also had Ingrid live to adulthood, but I think they're the only two, Ingrid and Kellen. So Kellen became our next heir. He was born the year of the plague, and he was a tiny baby, and he lived through the roll of the plague. He and his twin sister both did. And then he died as a younger man. He was not very old, but he lived long enough to have some children. So he had Sebastian and Ida and Rose. And Ida died in childbirth, but Rose grew up, got married, and had her own children before she died. Oh no, she's still alive. Sorry. Sebastian married Alice, and then Sebastian died. Alice is still alive, and Ida up here that married Kellen. Ida is still alive in our tree. But Sebastian and Alice, look at all these children that they had. And there is only one child still living. And we will have to go and add his picture when he becomes an adult, hopefully, when he gets married and he starts having children. But that is Harris, and he is our next heir. And he is the only one. There are no other children who lived in this house except for Harris. So what does that mean for us if something happens? Since Harris has no siblings, we have to go back and look at Sebastian's siblings. And Sebastian has two siblings, Rose and Kellen, that are still alive. Kellen has no children. He never got married. He rolled to never get married. And Rose married Milo, and they have 7 children, but only one of their children lived. So Isaiah Bell is the only child that's alive over here, and Harris Miller is the only child alive over here. So they really have had a lot of issues. I mean, Ida and Kellen have had 16 grandchildren, and there's only 2 of them alive. That is just incredible. The odds of that happening is awful. I mean, incredible, but awful. So the next heir, if something happens to Harris, would fall to Kellen. He is the next male sibling. And if there are no male siblings, then it goes to the female sibling, but there is a male, so it goes to Kellen. However, Kellen does not have any children. So Kellen is going to have to quickly get married and try to have babies if something happens to Harris. So our next generation of heir may be a lot younger than everybody else if something happens to Harris over here. But we're hoping that that just doesn't happen and everything will be fine. So let's go back up here and let's look at Edmund's tree. And we're going to tell it to do as many generations as it can, because right now it's only given us 3 generations, technically, if you count Edmund and Grace. Actually, it might be easier to look at it like this. Let's do this. So this gives us the descendants of Edmund Miller, and it gives us up to 4 generations. So it says that he had 19 children and 19 grandchildren and 45 great-grandchildren, and then they just start calling them descendants, not great-great-grandchildren, but 77 in generation 4. So this starts with Ingrid Miller married Jeremiah Smith, and they had these children. And then Kellen married Ida, and they had these. Flora married Lucas, and they had these. So I like how this divides them up in the generations better than in their age groups. Because if we look at this, like let's look at Kellen. Kellen was born in 1348. But if we scroll down here and we look at the next generation right here, they were born in 1351. Gwendolyn Hammond was. So Kellen is a whole generation behind them, and he was only born like 3 or 4 years before them. So, and I think he was born, Christopher Archer is 10 years. But I think he was born the same time. So he's just our heir is ending up being very much behind everybody else. And part of that is because for some reason in our main household, our heirs tend to be the youngest children in the family. And so our older kids are just not living in the main household. And so anyway, I just thought this would be a cool way to look at it. You can look at them. They're in rows, as you can see. Generation 1 is in, I guess, column, is in this column. Their spouses are written under them like this. Generation 2 is in this column. And then Generation 3 is in this column, and it continues down. Like Flora is Generation 3. These are all Generation 3. And it goes on and on like that. But like right here, Larkin Miller just got married in this generation. And we have other people in this generation who have grown up. Like Gwendolyn Hammond grew up and got married and had her own family. So some of them have just gotten old enough to get married, and some of them have been married for a while. So it's weird or kind of cool to me to look at the spread of ages between one generation to the next. So anyway, that was a lot of rambling about how these people look. There's a lot of stuff that you can look at. You can look at their family page. This is Edmund's family page. So these are all of his children. It tells you when they were born and when they died and the ones that got married. For Daniel Miller, it says more because he had 3 spouses. So it just tells you who they got married to and how old they were when they died. And she put the location of where they were born and where they died, which right now on all 19 of them is England because nobody moved yet. But if we follow Mary and we look at hers, we have Frey, who was born in England and died at age 28 in France. And so Frey is our family that moved to France, and we can easily see when that happened because she has been wonderful about how she's doing the family tree. Now, recently, just in the last 3 weeks, I have had multiple people reach out to me and say that they are making family trees for the Millers, or they are finished making family trees. And so during our family tree time, we're just going to look at all the different trees and the ways that there are to keep up with the Millers. I do love this also in Lindsay's thing over here, that it says bio notes, and she's written that she was born, this is Mary Miller, she was born a quad. Michael, Cooper, and Solomon were her other siblings when she was born, because that was part of that set of quadruplets that I had when I was losing my mind at the beginning of all of this. Anyway, this right now is the other completed tree that we have that has been shared with me. Now, again, there are not pictures because she has to pay for there to be pictures, and I really do not want people to be paying for a made-up family. So this is the same way, though. We've got Sebastian, our OG original Sebastian that was born in 1300, but our next heir is Hugh, and he is all the way over here. Here he is. Hugh married Eve. But if we zoom out, you of course can't tell who anybody is, but you can see just how massive this family tree is. You can go 5+ generations. So at least we can look. It's gotten really wide, but not really far down. I mean, we're only on, I feel like, oh my gosh, if they're alive, they're just listed as private because they're still alive. That is so funny. So over here, it's got like a timeline of Edmund's life, and it tells us when all of his kids were born, his son's death, his daughter got married, like everything is over here to the side. Daughter's death and then his death. So that is all of Edmund, and it just like explains everything that's going on. First of all, up here it tells us there are 251 people in this family tree. And it looks like I feel like there might be more people. There are more people because this is Nicholas Jones. Oh no, he died. That's a different Nicholas Jones. Wow. Okay. So I think this is it. I don't think any of these people are married. No, Isabel is married, and she has 2 kids with her, not Isabel, Paul. No, who is married? There's a Gregory that's married. A boy. Oh, him. He's married, and he has 2 children. So maybe it won't show it to us because they're listed as being alive, which means it's private. So you may have to log in and like have access to the family. Yeah, I don't know how all of that works yet. This is the first time I'm actually like exploring this tree. Oh, it says Isla ×2 because she married 2 of our people. That's funny. So anyway, I just think if you're interested at all in like genealogy and the way any of this works, I think this would be so interesting to you. Now, the other 2 people that have contacted me that are making family trees, one of them seems to be hand making the family tree. I'm not going to say anything about them yet. Also, I didn't say this is from a Danish person, or at least it's written in Danish when you first load this family tree up. And so the conversation that the 2 of us had for me to call out her name and say thank you was really funny because her name is spelled IDA, which we have that person in our tree a lot, and I call her Ida. So when she said Ida, I was like, oh, okay, I can do that, IDA. And then she said, well, actually, it's pronounced differently than what you say it. And I was like, oh, well, what is it then? And so she says Ida. So thank you very much, Ida. Our conversation about pronunciations of names and everything else was really funny for me. And a lot of people have used this MyHeritage site. I saw them talking about it. And if you want to know more about this or ask questions about this, they talk about this on our Discord. So make sure that you come join our Discord and see what everybody is doing. I love these so much. Now, let me go back and talk about the other two people. One of them is doing more of like a handmade situation. I'm going to, I've gotten screenshots from both of them about the things that they're doing, but I don't want to share them yet because I did not ask for permission. But one of them is more, like I said, of a handmade thing where it is the name and where they're from and all that kind of stuff about their days, their dates of birth and death and all that. So it's the general information, but instead of using one of these, she's making her own because she wants to be able to include pictures of everybody. And I do like the pictures better, but again, it's just not worth it to have to pay for these pictures. Then the second person is creating like a giant timeline of events in the Miller family. And so it is going to have everybody's birth and death, but it also has like the plague and different kind of events like that that have affected the Miller family. So that is going to be a huge undertaking that she is also working on. But just the fact that there are so many people that are interested in this family and want to like do things and follow along and create things, it just makes me so happy. So I just enjoy it a lot, and I want to be able to showcase these people. So if you have created anything that you want to share, or you want me to share you in some kind of way, as far as I know, nobody, neither Lynn's nor Ida, have any kind of social platform that they're wanting me to talk about. But if you do, and you have created something and you want to show me, or for me to show others, I would love to hear about it. Come over to Discord or send me a message. Comment below this video and I will find it. I read all the comments, and so I will definitely check it out. But I think that's going to do it. Just a little short look at a family tree and all the different trees that have been made for us so far. I cannot wait to share with you the other projects that are happening in the background from other people, and any of you guys who have something to share about the Miller family that you have made or created or you want to create. I would be happy to share it. I would love to. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.